Hello, this is me, Nicole Hartley Bradford, on Tuesday, October 29th at 10:53 a.m. I was just asked by another possibility manager to tell about what are some of the keys that I'm using to create what I'm creating. And I sent this person a voice message. I was speaking without knowing what my answer was, and then I got this ping, like, say it again, something like say it again, say it to more people. And I started to open a Zoom room, and I thought, wow, this is my next Radical Honesty podcast episode. And so I'm going to go a layer down into like this be more radically honest about where I'm at right here, right now. And yeah, what comes first is fear. I feel scared to reveal what's happening because I feel scared that it will be misunderstood, projected on, made assumptions about. And I feel angry because I'm not available to be the persecutor in someone's story of reality. And I also feel scared when I hear myself say that because I also don't want to make myself a victim of someone else turning me into a persecutor. And something like this just happened in the last hour. I was in a space, and one of the people was bringing all kinds of communications into the space. And what my scanner saw was that they were numb and they were defending themselves. And they were defending themselves, at least partly, against me, against my. They were scared that I would again use my anger to say stop. And their words that they used were that I yelled at them. And I could see, okay, this is how it goes. This is how it often goes, where a person is in a kind of space where anger is being used consciously to create a space where learning and healing and possibility are at work, and where this shift is happening from the old map of, in particular, anger, but the old map of all four feelings, onto this new map where the feelings and people using them aren't a problem. So and that, I mean, I've been making this shift for I've been making this shift in stages, a couple steps over, a couple steps back, a couple more over, one back. Like it's really this, really this adventure. And it's scary. It's scary because my fear is that I will use my anger and I will be perceived as a threat, perceived as a persecutor, and then either attacked or I'll lose people. That they'll make themselves victims and they'll make themselves small and they'll go away. So I feel a lot of joy that this person was speaking and saying the things they were saying, even though I got to the part where I was like, I want them to be able to have this space with the other space holder and the other to learn to become a space holder for themselves, for all of their parts, and and that I, yeah, my boundary was I'm not available to play the role of persecutor, and because I didn't know how to do that in the space, I exited the space. And and I was glad to make time for other things. I was glad to make time for these communications that were on my bench, and to receive the communication from this other possibility manager asking me about, what are your secrets, what are your keys to this creation that has been happening in my world. And I feel joy because there's so much that is pulsing to be created through. It's like my archetypal lineage is like, will you create this, will you create this, will you create this? And it's all so delicious, and it's all things I want to exist. And I feel scared because I still experience myself as being alone, as being a lone wolf, and yet this person said, you're teaming up so well and so easily. And I was like, wow, okay, is this accurate? And I see that teaming up has been happening. I also see how it happens, and then I use my fear. What are they going to think? What are they going to say? And my anger, like I want to know, but I don't want to know, to constrict, to pull away energetically. And then when I start to feel the sadness about that I've done that, because I miss having teammates. I miss having teammates. I miss having an in-person team. And I feel glad because I have such a huge not in-person team. And I feel scared to ask people, will you come and do this project with me, and do the steps towards being in person? And I feel scared to ask, because what if they say no? What if they say you don't have enough clarity, distinction about your gremlin for me to want to be on a team with you? Which is essentially what I said to the person, was, you don't have enough distinction and clarity about your gremlin for me to want to be on your team right here, right now. And I can hear how it sounds like such a asshole thing to say. And yet, as much as I was exiting for me according to my boundary, I was also exiting to make space for her to get the training that she came to the space for. And it's partly my gremlin, like avoiding the responsibility of having a conversation I'm not skilled at having. And so in a sense, I think I was using my fear consciously to make space, make time for someone else's transformation. And I can still keep being responsible for my own transformation and learning and gremlin training in other spaces. Yeah. And really the keys that I've been using are to radically rely on what I love and what feeds me mentally, emotionally, energetically, physically. And this is what's jacking me into my archetypal body. And I think what's making me interesting to the Earth's Coincidence Control Office and to my archetypal lineage, putting jobs on my bench, putting coincidences, giving me coincidences to work with. And it's been really my mental body just liquefies when I consider some of the coincidences. Like, some of the coincidences happened over 30 years ago when I was a housemate with a person who now I'm like, I have something that I want to bring to you and to your people. And and some of the coincidences happened in the last 2 years, where again there's someone who's like one of that person's people. I'm like, I have something. Can we explore this together? And in the meantime, in the last 2 weeks, I've built 2 websites in a matter of hours, and they're alive. They're so alive. And I've been noticing that I didn't do what I said I would do, which was to record a weekly Radical Honesty podcast. And I noticed that there have been these coincidences that I lent someone my book, my Radical Honesty book. And so it's been out of sight, out of mind, and not there as the reminder that it's been to, what about this radical honesty experimenting you're doing, Nicole? And I also had this other part where I had recorded a couple of calls with Laura, who wanted to join me in this radical honesty research. And after those 2 calls, it was just really scary to think about putting those conversations somewhere they'd be visible. And as far as I remember, and I would need to check this, my gremlins totally wiped it out, or almost totally wiped it out. I think that one of the calls, I did put it on YouTube, and the other call, I don't know if I even did it. I would need to check. And in the meantime, I met someone. I met a man who I at first didn't like. And when I met him again, and in this not liking him mode, still wanted to team up with him to do the things that were the necessities of the space that we were both in. And he asked me some questions, and I started speaking, and I started having the time of my life with this man. And I started seeing his being, his qualities, his bright principles, and I started, I started using my anger to still have my center, my own authority, to do what I wanted to do, to go where I wanted to go, to talk to who I wanted to talk to, and not become this white widow. Oh, I'm gonna feed on you as a man, as a source of attention and energy and status and pleasure and and I did it. I did it. I was celebrating intermittently as this day unfolded, and I started to think back about how much I hadn't liked him, and I noticed it was because I was attracted to him, and how the coincidences played out without me playing White Widow games were that we started conversations over text, phone calls. We set up times to meet. Only one. Tried to set up another couple times that fell through. And wow, I feel glad to hear myself say that. It's like my old way of doing possibly romantic relating has been to put a lot of things that I've been giving my time and attention and energy to the side and give the lion's share of my time and attention and energy to this man. And this was really the step onto the path, onto off my path. Not that you can ever leave your path, but there's this way that I have in the past this song comes into my mind. It's I live my life for you. And I've glorified that in the past, and I don't glorify it anymore. I hate it. I hate that women do this. I hate that men do it. That men give up what they're really alive for in order to be some kind of hero to a woman and to rescue her as if she is a child, is a weak, needy human who cannot thrive without a man. And yeah, so this is some of what has been going on with me. And yeah, I notice the ways that my gremlin starts to fog me over. Shark no. Starts to put a wall between me and you as a listener, whoever you are. Yeah, part of it is still this gremlin reactivity to a gremlin, to really boxes and gremlins. It's so clear to me that the box to box with gremlins spinning in way of human relating is this the bud of war, the bud of adversarial relating, the bud of wrong making, right making, small making, big making, better making, worse making, power over, power under. And it's such a fine line to find this other path that is being in reality with what is, without stories, just being in reality, feeding all 5 of our human bodies and collaboratively creating. This is how another culture comes into existence, by conscious choice, by teamwork. Be like, can I give you feedback and coaching? Or just having a culture of feedback and coaching, which is the culture of the universe, the culture of reality. Reality is full of feedback. And if I let my box and my gremlin pull me into the swamp, where I just go round and around and around, and I only get older. No more creativity's happening, no more relating's happening, no more healing's happening, no more. The only thing is happening is time is going by and pain is happening. And when I can catch that, it's like, oh, here's the pain. Here's the pain that I can use to like leverage my transformation by asking for a held space, by getting myself into the next held space where I can be using my emotions for healing, or using my feelings to get myself out of the swamp, because I've used my emotions for healing enough that I've gained distinction. I've grown matrix. I've grown the stuff that consciousness can happen on. So I have tools. I have energetic moves. I have things that I can do, like, yeah, just pulling my ego states to the side and say, gremlin, sit. Come out of child ego state. Come out of the beating up of parent ego state and demon ego state and gremlin, and just be here and now in reality, experimenting. I think that's it for now. That seems to be it for now. Thank you for listening/watching. I honestly, I would love, love, love to hear from anyone who watches these Radical Honesty podcasts, where radical honesty meets tools, distinctions, maps, experiments from possibility management, or that are yeah. Well, really, where Nicole, as radically honestly as possible, meets the world. Yeah. Thank you. Goodbye for now.